Speaker, rentals are a big part of our housing mix. And what have we done? Or what have you guys done over there? Speaker, or the government has done, I should say, Speaker. They've increased land tax on second residences. In a housing crisis and a homelessness crisis, who the hell thought this would be a good idea? Indeed. It drives landlords from the market. Indeed. And there's this perception that seems to be on that side of the house that all landlords are rich. These are mum and dad investors. They're nurses, they're school teachers, they're disability workers. They've chosen to invest in the housing market. They've got other options, but they're providing rentals for people who need rent. Now, you're forcing them out of the market. We had, last week, one gentleman who has property investments in the electorates of Gippsland South and Gippsland East, who just said he's selling up his investment properties. He's a self-funded retiree, he gets his income off, that's how he's not a burden on the taxpayer. He's selling his properties locally and he's going to invest in properties interstate because of the land tax smashing that he's received on his bills. Not a wealthy man, just a self-retired pensioner trying to maintain his income levels. This policy also, if landlords choose to hang in, they're passing it on to renters, that additional cost. So then the rentals become unaffordable for renters. In the cases where they do sell, I'd suggest that there's very, very few of those sales being picked up by people on the public housing waiting list. They can't afford to live in homes. That's why they're on the public housing waiting list. So it is not putting residences back into the pool. I'd say they're being bought by people who can afford to pay the additional land tax. It's not helping the bottom end, as this government would have you believe. Then we've also got the impact on businesses. At one publican in Gippsland East 2 days ago, when I was here in Parliament, sent me an email, bobbed up in my inbox, that his land tax on his pub has risen by 380% on last year. 380%. So he's asked me, what do I got to do to survive? What have I got to do to survive? He's in an area that was impacted by the bushfires a couple of years ago. He's now having to put up staff. Well done. In impacting employment levels in rural and regional areas. The timber industry decisions kicked us in the guts. We've had the fires go through, and now you introduce a land tax on commercial businesses that results in staff being put off. I mean, who the hell thought in a housing crisis, and when we've got to drive the economy to be stronger, that a land tax smashing is a good idea? I can't find anywhere where that is possibly a good idea. On that land tax, we've got a pensioner, a gentleman by the name of Robert Smith, whose driveway is on a separate title. Because of the lowering of the threshold, he's now got to pay land tax on his driveway to get to his home because you lowered the threshold. What? Can you believe that? No. Surely he's got to pay land tax now on his driveway for the first time because it's on a separate title. We've got another pensioner who had the adjoining block that Delp back then couldn't sell many years ago, whatever they were called, offered to him for $9,000 when he was working. So he bought it, he paid it off, he's a pensioner. Now he's been hit with this land tax on his adjoining block of land because he's now having to pay under the reduced threshold. He can't afford to pay it. He cannot afford to pay it. What does he do? No one wanted to buy it years ago. No one will want to buy it now. He thought he was doing the government a favour, and now he's getting hammered.